This is the Soul Holla podcast.
Every week, we bring you mystical accounts from forgotten folklore to the fringes of consciousness.
Exactly. If you have ever felt there was more to this reality than what you are being told, you've come to the right place. I'm Rachel.
And I'm Brenna, and we are your hosts on this weekly journey. Welcome to Soul Holla. Hello, everyone. In this episode, we are going to be touching on the Telepathy Tapes. If you've never heard of the Telepathy Tapes, it's a very, very interesting bunch of podcasts / YouTubes that a gal, Ky Dickens, has put together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's a filmmaker. She put these together. Apparently, it all started, she wanted to make a documentary, and it just kind of kept falling through her fingers, so to speak. And then she kind of gave up and said, okay, universe, how am I supposed to do this? And then the podcast came about. She is making a documentary, and these podcasts are now funding that. So let's just dive right into the Telepathy Tapes. Rachel, why don't you take us away?
Okay, yeah, just as a brief, that's a great intro, and then I'm just going to add to a little bit that's on her website. It's, so it's a podcast that explores the origins of consciousness and the unexplained abilities of ESP through science, verifiable evidence or experience, formal testing, and human story. In Season 1, non-speaking individuals with autism reveal striking telepathic abilities that challenge everything we thought we knew about the mind. And it's really true. She does have a Season 2 as well, but we'll just stop at talking about Season 1. Super interesting how she visits the homes of these various non-speaking individuals.
Can I interrupt real quick?
Yeah.
Okay, just in a nutshell, folks, Telepathy Tapes are about non-speaking autistic folks that have telepathy, essentially. And she's chronicling all this. It's like, whereas they've lost the ability in some regards for speaking and whatnot, they've gained other big senses. Okay, sorry. That was just a nutshell so that they know exactly where we're going with this.
Perfect. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's so she's very scientific about it. She made sure that the people who the spellers, some of them are spellers, where they are the individuals who are the non-speaking, they have a board and they are able to spell out words, and they're pretty fast at it. They're pretty adept, those who have been doing it quite a bit. And then the person that, they're the mom or the caregiver who's is in the other room. There's they cover up mirrors, they cover up TV. This is all will probably
they do their due diligence, so no tomfoolery is going on.
Yeah, they're being very scientific, approaching it in a very scientific way, so nobody can say, well, you didn't do this, so that's probably what they're doing. And yeah, so
and yet go ahead.
So just so she can prove that this is real. Go ahead.
Yeah. But I did read quite a bit of skepticism against, hardcore scientists that are just debunking it for the sake of debunking, because they probably get paid. The powers that be still don't want anybody to know about diddly squat, And oh my gosh, autism kids actually have some kind of what we would call power, wow, they have telepathy. What else can they do? But the powers that be just don't want people to know about anything. So lots of skepticism out there. But if you look up any of these, they're all mainstream skeptics. They, that's their job is to. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. No, she addresses that a lot of people have pushed back. A lot of scientists and the main sort of the
industrial complex dumber downers.
Yeah, they've said well, you let's see, I'm trying to think. What are the main things? So here's one of the main things is that they say that spellers are are being assisted in some way. So she tried to she did her best to remove all of that, but some of the spellers say their arm doesn't like fully function. They do have
Their
some
arm?
Yeah, so say they have like some sort of like their arms are not like, I don't want to use the word deformity, but their arms are not, and legs maybe don't operate, like maybe there's
like a nerve pinch, like they don't have the operation of their arms.
They don't have full operation and range, and so with this, they are able to spell using somebody like holding their elbow, maybe, or just like giving them a little bit of stability.
So then the skeptic comes in and says, "Oh, well, you're touching it. How do we know you're not doing like Morse code on the elbow, right?"
Exactly, and this has been an ongoing thing in this community for a long time, where they don't want to allow the kids to use the spelling like this. I think they're called boards. Forgive me, people who know the correct terms and I don't. But yeah, so they don't. They already want to marginalize what these kids can do, like by making sure in schools they don't have the ability to spell, or they say, oh, they don't recognize it as being a true form of communication. So, given that, are they gonna really be excited about telepathy? No. They're like, no. If they're not willing to acknowledge that these kids have the capacity to think on a higher level than how they appear, that, you know, like they appear not to be able to, like they're like I said, they might have withered arms or not, something that doesn't quite function 100% in their bodies, but that doesn't mean their mind and their abilities are to be marginalized. And so, yeah, she's come up quite a bit against that. A lot of people have spoken out. And in the second season, one of the people who tried to debunk her, who went out specifically, she's like, okay, I don't really think this is happening. I think there's something else going on. She was on one of the tracks, on the talk track, which is season 2. She came on the show and talked about how she tried to debunk everything and then became a believer because she realized everything is this is actually happening. These kids are communicating telepathically with their moms. Like the mom will hide something, some candy, and all she has to do is think about it and the kid heads there. Like he knows exactly where it is. Or they put a lock on the cupboard for something, and then all they have to do is think of the combination. And the kid's like already in the cupboard, like runs down. Like that's just 2 examples. There's so many. It's a really, really, really wild.
So are all autistic kids, do they all have this ability? Do they have to be an extreme autism? Like, does she know why it's happening to autism folks? And how extreme of the autism does it need to be before it kicks in? Anything like that?
It does seem to like be the strongest amongst the nonverbal kids. And some of them, or individuals, some of them they've become verbal. Like they started out not verbal. They learned how to be verbal, but it's a struggle for them. And so they prefer to use telepathy because it's easier. So they've, in the situation at schools where they have a caregiver or a teacher who works with them, some of the caregivers who are open cannot have learned to become telepathic. So it's not just about the students. It's about, I mean, it is, but it's also the telepathy tapes are talking about show how even like you or I could learn how to use this ability.
Yeah, it's almost like blind people that, you know, don't see, and their hearing is like astronomical, like dog hearing, you know, like, or there was blind folks in Russia when they were documenting this stuff, that it all got, you know, kiboshed. But this was in the 80s, and these kids were all blind, but they could put the book up under their armpit or just over their fingers, and they were reading. So, you know, there's also, at the end of the day, it's like our other senses come out heightened.
Keep jumping in.
Because otherwise it's so easy, you know. Oh, if I just want to talk to somebody, I just grab my cell phone, which is, you know, electronic telepathy, you know. But the people that have these disabilities don't have that option. So naturally, especially right now on planet Earth with all the energy. Yeah. Okay. Anyway.
Yeah.
I digress.
No, but to your point, there's a movie, I can't remember what the name of it is at this moment. Maybe we can drop it in.
I might know it. What is it?
It's about the kids who get blindfolded and they learn how to see through their blindfolds.
Oh, it's not a movie. It's a documentary.
Yes.
Yes, and it's on Amazon, I believe. Although I think you can get it on Hulu as well. I think it's called Superhuman.
Yes, I think you're right.
I think it's called Superhuman. It is really good, you guys. It blew me away.
Yeah.
It's a lot of this. I mean, these kids are not blind. They were just taught to wear these completely blacked out thingies over their eyes. I bought one, and it is blacked out. I mean, you can see nothing. And they're just running around playing tag, going through obstacle courses. They can't see a darn thing, and yet they said they could just kind of feel it. They just feel the stuff, and they can't really quite describe it because it's like, how do you describe maneuvering an obstacle course? Well, I see it with my eyeballs, and then my brain does some depth perception. And you can't really describe it. You're like, I saw the thing and I jumped over it, like, so like they have a hard time explaining it. The kids do, but like, yeah, I mean, there's a whole bunch of them, and that's just one thing. I mean, the whole documentary is like crazy. Yeah, we should do a really whole podcast on each, because there's 5 or 6 things on that. We could do like a podcast on each one of them. Yeah. Or one big podcast, because that is such an amazing.
And there's actually YouTube's more currently now, where just people like you and I are learning how to use their inner vision, like the people reading out loud a book with the blindfold on.
Really? Okay. Yeah. Okay. I bought them because I was like, well, if these little kids can do it, I can do it.
Yeah. Is it called Mindfold? Is that what it's called? Sorry.
Mindful? Oh,
Mindfold.
The glasses or the goggle thingies?
The blindfold.
I'm not sure. I'll go grab mine.
Okay. So yeah, I feel like there's just a lot more to our abilities than what we're told. And the other thing that's really cool about the telepathy tapes is that these students I think they're mostly student ages. That's why I'm saying kids or students, but they have this place where they meet called the Hill, and they go into, and it's just a place where, I'm just talking about the Hill. I don't know if you got that.
Yeah, I've got a little blurb here on the Hill.
Yeah, why don't you read that?
Okay. First, my glasses are called Manta Sleep. Okay. I think that's the ones they suggested to buy. They're a little more expensive than some knockoffs, but I thought I want the real thing. And so I need to get back into that because I kind of forgot I had them. Okay, so the Hill, it's telepathic community, a reoccurring concept where thousands of non-speakers, i.e. one claim of 1789 on a specific day, allegedly gather in a shared mental space called the Hill to communicate telepathically, discuss topics like the podcast itself, and access universal knowledge. Well, that reminds me of like putting meta glasses on and going into one of those chat rooms, in a way,
I don't know that I know what that means. Go ahead and can you say more about that?
Okay, so meta, the goggles, the game goggles.
I don't know about those either.
Good Lord. Have you been living in a cave?
Catch me up, Brenna. Catch me up.
Okay, like Meta makes it, whatever. Facebook, that whole group.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Meta. And you could put them on, and it's basically virtual reality. And you can go to all these different worlds and stuff, but I was walking around in one of the quote-unquote worlds, and I went to a concert, and it was really cool. I mean, and then I noticed like there was a fireside, and all these people were sitting around or standing, they were talking to each other. So I walked over, and one of them's like, "Get lost, you're not part of this group." And I'm like, geez, rude. But
wow.
But they all just, like, it was a group of people that know each other somehow, either through there, or maybe they're all coworkers. Who knows? Maybe it's a family. I don't know. But they all decide to meet there in their avatars and chit-chat.
Wow. So, wearing the glasses, so it's a VR interface.
The VR, yeah. Okay. Yeah, exactly. And so that's kind of what the Hill, now that I've just read that little blurb about it, that's what it reminds me of. It's like a bunch of these folks that have this ability, looks like they get together and they all meet in one spot, telepathically, mentally, and shoot the crap.
Yeah, the way they explain it is, it's kind of a frequency that they all know, and so like two kids who the parents didn't know each other, introduced them to each other, like, hey, like they just got to know each other, know about Ky kind of brought them together through the telepathy tapes, and the two kids are like, oh yeah, we've met before on the hill, like they already
On
knew
the hill.
each
That's
other.
so cool.
And they teach each other, they like tutor each other, they do like, it's
I wonder
really
if this is the beginnings of, honestly, of social memory complexes. So I'm not going to get into it too much, but eventually Earthlings will start to develop. And I don't think it's going to be in my lifetime. It's probably hundreds of years from now where it's properly done. But like they go into groups, like-minded folks, and they all become telepathic with one another. It's where the pronouns they and them might actually like make sense at the moment, because they are a group mind, but not a hive mind, not like a queen or a king and a higher doing a hive mind, but a group mind of like-minded folks. And it could be planetary, it could be religious, it could be just like, but anyway, but that's what this sounds like, is the beginnings of social memory complexes on planet Earth. So
it's definitely different. And
yeah,
these kids also say like they're very authentic. Like you can't fool them because they can read a mind, right? So they're very authentic. You can't BS these kids.
I bet you they're the first wave of like more telepathic human,
I mean, it seems like an evolution stage, right? Like if we're
and it maybe happens this way because it's the easiest avenue to enhance the other abilities that have been laying dormant in most humans. Like they have to have an ailment of some kind, not an ailment, but a handicap, let's just say, of some kind that drives them to another way of doing something as simple as speaking to somebody or communicating, not speaking, communicating with somebody, Yeah. And then as the evolution goes on planet Earth, like maybe less and less of that is necessary, and more people just are born with the ability and whatnot. So, I mean, there's plenty of times when I've read where a baby just comes out, and they're usually kind of like, they're not very aware when they first come out of the womb, but babies will sit up and like do a mudra with their hands and say something in Tibetan, like they're,
Wow.
So, yeah. And so they come in with some degree of power and memory to some extent of what they're capable of already. And so I bet these kids, even though they probably don't have that language, the same language that I just use, it seems like it's what's happening,
I mean, what's fascinating is...
And when I say kids, they're adults too, okay?
They're adults. The majority of the individuals in the telepathy tapes are kids, like through the ages, like probably kinder.
Yeah.
I don't know if about as young as kindergarten, but young through high school, sort of.
Yeah, but then there's other people that are in college and a 16-year-old.
Yeah. Yep.
So yep.
Yeah, but I do feel like there's something to them not being able to interact as they're being undervalued, right? Because of their
handicap.
Yes. Like their appearance does not offer what their depth is, and so there's something about that I feel is going under the radar, and then being able to get the message out now is kind of a big thing, because people can't really undervalue them as much anymore when they realize, wow, they know pretty much everything. Like they can, I mean, I don't know about everything, but they know a lot more than what we would perceive. Like
yeah, but this hill place sounds like amazing, because now, and they're from all over the world, right?
Yeah.
And it's corroborated, at least to some extent, that, this person already knows this person, even though there's no way in heck that they could have ever have met in quote unquote, everyday life.
Yeah, there's three, like I think three. The thing that kind of tipped Ky off to it being more than, like, she heard about it from a priest, she heard about it from a mom, and she heard about it from a caregiver. Three different people who had mentioned the hill without knowing each other and without having any other information that everybody else. Like, so she was like, wait a second, there's got to be something about this place. And then she started asking the participants in the documentary about it, and then a lot more information came out. So super cool.
Yeah, no, it's good deal. This is just a kind of an intro to the telepathy tapes, which is kind of like season 1 is sort of like introducing you to some of the folks and introducing season 2 and did you say 3? 3
There,
seasons?
I think 3
They
seasons
get
active
they
right
get
now. I'm in
yeah,
Talk Tracks, which is season 2.
okay, and they get increasingly more interesting and more interesting. So I think we'll keep this one kind of general, just to kind of wet your whistle, so to speak. You dip that one toe in the water, and and then we'll go into more specifics and more of the actual people and their experiences. And let's talk briefly about John Paul. He's 16 and he shares a deep telepathic bond with his friend Houston and his girlfriend Lily. Families describe open discussions of mind-to-mind communication, including shared experiences across distances, and they have ties into the ideas of interconnectedness. What do you have to say about John Paul?
Oh my goodness, John Paul was such a fun person to like hear. I think it was his brother actually who read his what he had to say. He didn't speak on the telepathy tapes, but he could type some things out or spell some things out, and his brother read it. But just as a really dynamic individual. I guess he's larger than, like, really tall. He's like 6 something. His mom, when she comes onto the podcast, is just a lot of fun to hear.
And he does not speak.
I don't remember if it's very limited or not speaking.
So
yeah.
Okay, yep, gotcha. Okay.
And just the stories about him, he just sounds like a really big teddy bear. So much fun. I think he laughs a lot and makes his family laugh. And
he's got a girlfriend too. So
he has a girlfriend, Lily, and she has a lot to say on the podcast as well that I thought was really. I remember her being impactful as well. And their story of friendship, Houston and John Paul, is really sweet, and it comes through. I feel like more than one episode talks about their friendship, because as something is discovered, like, oh, like these people there's like this aspect, and then there's the hill, and then, oh, they also meet on the hill, and this is what they have to say about it. Because she'll kind of go back to people as she realizes there's more to what, as the sort of podcast evolves. So yeah, their story is really amazing. And John Paul, I don't want to give anything away, but there is something about him at the very end that is definitely worth going all the way to the end of the telepathy tapes to learn about.
We don't, because folks, I don't know what it is. So you sure you don't want to share it, or are you just gonna say, hey, people, look into it yourself?
I'd say, well, we could do A, and I'll let you edit, Brenna. One A. So what happens is that he actually dies at the end. He had something, I can't remember what he had, some sort of congenital thing, or I don't remember the cause of his death, but he knew he was gonna die. He told his friends, he said, hey, don't worry about me, you'll see me on the other side, you'll still be able to connect with me. And then he just went, when it was his time, he knew he was gonna die, he went to the hot tub, and that's one of his favorite spots. And that's where they found him.
Wow.
The parents, of course, didn't know all of that until Lily and Houston and a few others let him know what happened. But it's very peaceful, and he knew, and he was at peace about it. Okay.
Did he come back and speak with anybody after he was on the other side, or?
I feel like he left a note with somebody, and they were able to read it afterwards. He let him know what happened. I feel like that's one of the notes his brother read. It was very emotional. I remember getting to that episode and shedding tears.
Oh, Yeah, you get to know this character, Jean Paul, and he's larger than life, and even with like some kind of handicap or disability, as some people call it, and yet he has this robust other aspect to him, and then boom. But
Yeah.
maybe that's everybody. I don't know. I'm not going to get into it. Everything happens for a reason. Everything does, but like I'm not even going to speculate. But that's sad.
Yeah.
Sad for his parents, the ones left behind. But it sounds like he had a pretty good grasp on, things beyond Earth. And so he probably did have a very successful death as far as going on.
He transitioned, I think, really well, like in the
Yeah.
best way possible. Okay, and then here's your part B. You're going to have to listen and find out, and maybe we'll reveal next time, or you can beat us to it and listen to the telepathy tapes yourself and get to that last episode. So...
Okay. So we'll see which one it is.
I'm sorry. I messed that. I kind of gave you extra work.
Oh, that's okay. I might actually leave this in, but you never know. Because we could leave them both in.
Yeah. Choose your own adventure.
Yeah.
They're both true.
Yeah, we could say something
true,
like this.
Actually.
We could say something like this. Turn it off now if you don't want to know. But leave it running if you do.
Right.
Enter at your own peril.
Yeah. If you don't like a spoiler, then don't finish this podcast. Yeah.
Well, I think we'll wrap this one up because it really was just an intro to kind of, like I said, just give a little tiny snippet of the more robust work that the Telepathy Tapes is. And we will probably be hitting on more of these because there's a lot to this. And but like I said, we just wanted to give a little snippet to see and do your own research. I mean, they're all on YouTube.
Yeah, they're all on YouTube.
And they're easy to find. They're kind of cool and retro. I like the interaction. If you go to her website, it's very like 1980s retro, and it's like tapes, and it's really cool. It's kind of interactive. But
tapes with the headset.
Yep. Yeah, it's pretty cool. So, any last words?
Yeah, I would just say three places you can find the telepathy tapes that I know of pretty easily is her website, which is telepathytapes.com, and it has everything there, the episodes and everything. They're also on Spotify, but they do have ads, and then they're also on YouTube, and I do believe there's also ads on YouTube. So
maybe just go to her website because
her website's the best.
Her website, and it's like I said, it's kind of cool looking. Whoever made the website, maybe it was her, maybe it was somebody else, did a really good job. Yeah, I like a good website. Done. Yeah, it's a nice website. So, okay, please, if you like this content, give us a thumbs up. Subscribe if you feel so in need of hearing us again.
Do it.
Come on, you want to. And leave a comment if you have something to say about the telepathy tapes or anything else or a subject you would like us to talk about.
Indeed. Yep.
All right, everybody. Until the next time. Thanks for listening and take care.
Yes. Thanks for listening. Soul
Holla.